What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Resident Evil gameplay for you. And today I'm going to be going over some recent information, a recent interview with Resident Evil Requiem's director, Nakanishi, and basically going over some pretty important stuff about the game, as well as, quelling some rumors, as well as kind of just about outright revealing an identity of something, or at least dismissing the identity of something, as well as some other interesting things about the game, as well as matter-of-fact things that should be obvious, but unfortunately we need confirmation or people won't believe it. So without further ado, I'll get right into it, and I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to go read this article yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to reveal right now is one of the big mysteries involving Requiem. No, not that mystery, but the other one involving the monster, the identity of the big monster-like creature, the Big Mama, apparently. And that is this. So a lot of people have been comparing, is it Lisa Trevor possibly, or is it Alyssa Ashcroft? And unfortunately, they did deny one of those identities, and that is that this is a brand new monster, basically meaning that it cannot be Lisa Trevor. One of the reasons why people were speculating it could be Lisa Trevor is just the fact that the sounds she makes are very similar, but this was confirmed that a lot of times Capcom likes to reuse assets, and that sound effect was used for that time and point. Doesn't mean that's going to be the final sound effect in the game, but nonetheless, this is why sometimes when you heard voices in the early trailers, some people thought they sounded like other Resident Evil characters, but this isn't the first time that Capcom has reused voice actors as well as sound effects in their games. So, no, it is not Lisa Trevor, so that basically confirms that that's not a thing. It is a brand new monster. It didn't necessarily confirm that it's Alyssa, but more than likely it's going to have to be Alyssa at this point. So, unfortunately, poor Grace is going to be stalked and probably eventually going to have to put down her own mother at some point. Another thing brought up is just the fact that, yes, I know, shocking, Grace will use weapons, even though she technically already had a short little clip in an earlier gameplay segment where she was holding a handgun. She will have usage of weapons. In fact, this game is actually not only going to have weapons, they're actually going to have weapons that we have never seen before. Now, they didn't want to elaborate on what they may be, so we're left to speculate what that could mean, whether it's more conventional weaponry or even something more on the realms of sci-fi fiction. Who really knows, but time will tell. But we can definitely anticipate that Grace is going to have a wide variety of weapons, as well as whoever the other playable character is going to have a wide variety of weapons. One big thing that was confirmed and kind of silent, it took me a while to find this information, was the fact that we talk about OG characters and which ones are going to be in this game. Well, one of them was just flat out basically confirmed not to be in this game by them, and it was basically that they're not going to have Chris Redfield in Resident Evil Requiem. And I quote, "Rest assured, I'm sure Chris is out in action somewhere in the world, but for now, we're not really looking at him." End of quote. So yeah, there will be no Chris. So finally, the streak is over. I know some people are happy about that. Some people would have liked to see him in this game, but no, Chris is not going to make that return to Raccoon City again. So yep, no Chris. I didn't really get the feeling that he was going to be in this game. The longer I heard about it, and the more I heard news about it. So it's not the most shocking thing, but I guess the bigger question is, are they ever going to resolve the whole issue at the end of Village? So who knows, because you know how Capcom is in terms of resolving cliffhanger endings in their games. They have so many of them, it should be a crime at this point. But yeah, so no Chris is going to be in Resident Evil Requiem. So that's one OG character you can scratch off the list.
Fine. Then go get it! Sucker.
One of the most interesting parts, in fact, probably the most interesting part for me personally I got from all this, was they've been talking about how they want this fear to be kind of like an addicting sense of fear. And they were talking about how there's this new system that they've yet to shown off yet, but it's basically kind of like the description of a wavelength in terms of when you're in a really intense moment and that release from the intense moment. So you're playing a game and you're in a high pressure situation, but that pressure, apparently they have this system where apparently the pressure gets increased for a longer period of time, as well as the release from the pressure. And for me personally, that sounds really interesting, and I'm wondering how they're going to implement a system like that in this game. Because by the sounds of it, it sounds like they want this to be the most terrifying and scariest Resident Evil game of all time. And having this wavelength type system, whatever it is, and whenever they try to reveal it, that could be a huge game changer in terms of how are they going to make these intense situations longer, and maybe the breaks between the action and stuff like that. And maybe it's one of those things where you get really big breaks from, where nothing happens, but when stuff does happen, it's definitely, it feels probably longer than it actually is, but because of how intense it is, of all the things that was revealed or talked about in these interviews, I really think that's the one that fascinated me enough. And that's something we're only going to know until we actually see it, let alone actually play it in our hands. But of all the things, that's the most intriguing thing that I can't wait to hear them talk about more in the future and where that's going to go. And I like how they also end with another quote saying, "We're definitely going to F around with your emotions a lot with this one." So I can only wait to see what they have in store for us. Which leads me to the last thing I unfortunately have to talk about, and it's probably the most annoying part of Requiem at this point, and that's the whole question you hear asked 50 billion times at this point. Where's Leon? Where's Leon? Why haven't they revealed him yet? If he's really in this game, what are they waiting for? So, I made it clear in my last video that if he is indeed, more than likely he's going to be in this game, they're probably going to hold off on revealing him just because they want to give a brand new character the spotlight so that at least we can have a chance to be invested with her. Because if they revealed Grace the same time they revealed Leon, you know what the majority of us are all going to be saying. Who cares about this newbie? We just want to see Leon. But you might be asking, when could he possibly reveal him? Well, there is a thing called the Tokyo Game Show, and it's going to be shown off at the end of September. And one thing about Japan is that they are definitely big Leon fans themselves. Probably the most popular thing about Resident Evil. So, my advice to everyone, really impatient, because trust me, that's one word I can definitely describe with Resident Evil Requiem is impatience. Because one thing I will give Capcom credit for is that at least when they finally reveal their Resident Evil games, they come out in under a year more times than not. And they've been doing that consistently on a consistent basis. Not like they have a first reveal and then you wait 3 or 4 or 5 years till they come out. This game's going to be released February next year. I was going to have all these showcases, but in terms of the whole Leon thing, maybe it's a Tokyo Game Show, maybe it's not, but it'll happen at some point. So just relax, stop being impatient, and stop giving them all the free retail of having them basically manipulate and emotionally piss you off. Because one thing about Capcom, I'll tell you this right now for people who haven't figured this out, they love trolling their audience. Okay, they like trolling and having maybe a little bit too much fun for their own good with their audience. And you guys give them all the ammunition in the world to do it. Because everyone's all anal about it, paranoid about it. So it'll happen when it happens. Possibly at the Tokyo Game Show, maybe not, but that's at the end of September. So hopefully, not unless some big information drops, this will be my last Resident Evil Requiem video until that point, or at least right before that point, because I got a lot of things I actually want to get into that I want to make videos about. I'm going to have my RE2 video I'm going to be making after this, but then I got to buckle up and lock in to get ready for Chronos and Silent Hill F, going to be occupying the month of September. So look forward to those things, but unless any big information comes out, I probably won't be making any Resident Evil Requiem content for you. Not unless there's something you definitely want to hear me talk about, let me know in the comment section below. But as always I say, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. How do you feel about all these information coming from these interviews? Does this make you excited? Are you bummed out that one OG character in Chris is going to come back? Are you someone that's excited about hearing new weapons and this whole new, I guess, tension, wavelength system, whatever it may be, that they're trying to talk about spoiling? Or are you just someone who's going to ask for the 15th billionth time, where's Leon, and keep crying about it until you actually see him like a bunch of Ashley Grahams? Let me know down in the comment section down below, but thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back in the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.